Tene tatanda devajin to ji juye yiwa on tamate tanda ta devajin to ji melom japare la tene ta teya jerdo ngaranso melom singite melom la nduya mebe melom ta nduya yep melom yore ndubju yepata ndubju mepa 답변은 룹주 매반다보지 있나 드네 제 주자니 매방 알아서 다 심현람 잡네 배는 알아다보지 알아게 조치된 매도지 제와 효선은 현람 잡나 드네 현람 때 같이 잡나야 매도도 산 제토기요 말에 때 이나야야 주요나 메토드 제토기요 알아라다 갈래지네 나랑게 조시된 메토제 그거도 데 갈침부레 되네 섬네 메토가 코마제 냐 디나라 레로 디라 사반타 디라 촐로 텐데 지네 나보야 보잖아 미리미리 메토 제토 그래 메토 제와 디 자와데 가니 용거요 그래서 다 당분 나랑 조시된 메토제 그거도 섬베 생긴 팽이야 생각 편함대가 되네 용기 와라 되니 티처나 단다 당가란 속에 저 짜니 마사 봐라 나 대화진 지어쇼 손님 편하잖아 기도한줘야요 말에 때 얘나야 다 단다 대답 많이 봐 대화진도 지저 당보 되네 단다 힘감이 일라셔 그래 되니 생지된도 보자 요 되니 선놈 저 축사발라 되네 저서 되네 정주 산제 정주 그 상감발라 되네 되네 닥단다 근홍상보다 되네 선바 거네 뭐 받침보지네 되게 펜바 진 야보정 되네 면람 잡나 되네 팀면람데 누구이 와라 되네 티처나 주기바텔라 면람 잡고
So the fourth cause for rebirth in Dewa Chen is to make a prayer, a wishing prayer. And there are like two kinds of prayers. There are those which cannot be fulfilled and those which can be fulfilled. So for example, those that cannot be fulfilled, it means something for which there is no cause that exists. So if Rinpoche, for example, prays for a flower to grow on his table, and however much he prays that a flower is not going to grow on his table, and there's no cause there for a flower to come. But say through, if you keep like praying and thinking, I want to have a flower growing on my table. This is very important. I really need to have a flower there. Then through thinking that, then eventually you'll go and buy a flower pot and put some compost in it and some seeds, and water it, take good care of it, till eventually there will be a flower growing on the table, because then they've established like a cause for a flower to grow. So in the same way, if one prays to be reborn in Dewa Chen, one just prays to do that without any of the causes for rebirth in Dewa Chen, then nothing will happen. But one can will be reborn there if one has the causes, like the that of keeping Dewa Chen in mind, imagining Dewa Chen, and secondly gathering the accumulation, so that one has a great accumulation of merit, and then the third cause of developing the bodhicitta, of creating very strong, good motivation, good aspiration. Then if one has cultivated these three causes and then does the prayer for rebirth in Dewa Chen, then it can be fulfilled. One can be reborn there. So that's the fourth cause, the prayer.
Tene ta tela ya tangpo ta menlam jabdu tela ta ngaransu dewa jindu jiwi ki junda bote kande yungi yore se na ta tsendala dewa jindu jiwi ju ye sheba la tene tsendar weba njal menlam song yore la ta te tsendala ya weba menjalwa te ta dewa jindu jiwi ki ta ndapo tela tene te yang ngaransu ta lutin je yung kapsula jay me khahe la te chunthong da yung yore la chunthong de khande chin yung yore se na ta ngarang lu ning ba de tor sarba de ling gu ba yin bichen na ni je jewa chime ge no anda bo da bar du ge no anda bo te che kap ka la khare yung yore la tini te yang ngarang so dewa jin de jewe ge jodo manlam ya bo ja tini sonam ge chu sa tende che ba yin na tini jay tiga chunthong ti tayindala chunthong sena yanda, tanthong sena yanda kapkala tini waba me lola kamsong yin bichina waba me njali yung anda bota tini te njali yung onke tini pe ta ngarang pe gabonda bo sena jibonda bota tini ke nuwa yung yuwa re la tini tela tini ngarang dewa jinta je topanda bota tene shampoo ne tene kande yungi yore se na ya ta tela te si ta ngaran tu jundu sang la song tang ne tene tanda jay jitang ke dewa jing de je manam jab yore la tene jidin de la hemba chimbu je yo na ya te jewa la te si parchi che yore la tene teacher na ngaran so jay jitang ke jiti mara pen jiti la ne na tang korwa tang ngen song ke dung ham mambu yore ta tela tele ngaran dewa jing de je na ga ge re sam ban da bo je da tene te gen da la meni mel je na ya ta ka ka la ten ra meni mel je ju ke som da bo yore de yin na meni mel je na ya je se na ya bo yore de je se na tene je gu ge tene na gu ge tene ge gu ge tene she gu ge ya je gu ge ya na gu ge tene se du de la je ga na je dung al mang bo je nyong ge wa la de le de wa jin de je na de ta bu me pa la te ne ta de ge cher na de ta bu yi la se de ta ngara shiwe ge kap su la tene je cho yi me pa shi de me pa lu par hyo se tene za ne song ma tang wa je ne tene sha ja ro tu ba je me lam ja gu yo re.
And so if one cultivates the three causes and then does the wishing prayer, one can be reborn in Dewa Chen, but also through this and through this supplication to be reborn in Dewa Chen, one can also see see Mapa, see Amitabha. See at least Amitabha in this life. Oh my goodness. And so, like, particularly at the time of, even at the time of death, that one can may see Amitabha, that it's that it's like as a sign that one is going to be like reborn in Dewa Chen. So one sees Amitabha and feels great joy and so on. And this is because at the time of death, that person is to change their bodies, so they're going to leave this body for another, and at that point then some illusory appearances can arise, and illusory appearances of the bardo can begin to arise during the process of dying. So if someone has habituated themselves to the practice of praying to Amitabha and for being reborn in Dewa Chen, then through that one could say there's an illusory appearance, so one can say it is a pure vision of Amitabha, and seeing that will fill one with joy, and it is like a sign of that one is going to be reborn in Dewa Chen. And
Dewa Chen Jewa. Then that del parchina hotel.
Oh, and sorry, falling slowly apart. This is good. This is the last day. I wouldn't last another day. Anyway, so but there's sometimes, even though one has accomplished all the causes for rebirth in Dewa Chen and done the prayer, there can still be an obstacle that can prevent rebirth there, and that is attachment to this life, or attachment to the pleasures of this life. And so therefore one has to overcome that, and thinks of the sufferings that there are in samsara, and the sufferings in the lower existences, and think how in Dewa Chen there are none of these sufferings, and just happiness. And so sometimes people can pray for rebirth as a human being. So in a way that is a very good thing, to be reborn as a human being. But then also that if one is reborn as a human being, one will have to go through a process of birth, and then there will be sickness and aging, and then death again, and then one has to be reborn again, and then there's aging and death again, and so this continuous process. So there are many difficulties, hardships, sufferings that one has to endure. So if one prays to go to Dewa Chen, then one is reborn there, one will be free of all these difficulties and sufferings and hardships. So if one thinks in that way and cultivates that attitude and does that wishing prayer, then one will be free from that obstacle of attachment to this life. Then at the time of death, one may see Amitabha, one will go on to rebirth in Dewa Chen without any attachment. One will just go straight ahead without any looking backwards, forwards to rebirth to Dewa Chen.
Tene ta te jesla Dewa Chen je heng kopala somotone melom japare la ta kasingara hubare Dewa Chen je kopanda pote tikapsala yungrese hubare la tene chitang tesi pesam Davo je na je sigirila, tinte kayo mare, ngaranzo ndomanyongwa to nyomnyome be sajan davo je indi dela, tinte ji yo na me na samba davo je sigirila, pe na ngarang la nyomnyongyo are, ngarang tene nguma Malaysia chimbarila, Malaysia lan rodu dela, Malaysia de ta chitang ka tanda ngaranzo indicate masoma tropical country riba, te indi dela tene yakai chero yo mare, gangka trangdo yo mare, la tini ti sedu te la tini che lajong hidra mepa ta che inzamling ke satanda bo hidra lajong si manyo wa che la nge keche hiare la tini ta te pe ya bondo nganzu lumba la nganzu pe ta jagar la ta tinde yo mare tini yaka chida tuba dambala te si sabonda bondo re tini chida chuchi chuni la thangmonda bondo re si lab kensa tini nima chikbare dawa chikbare khare sete khora halene yaka ki nima khakayo re nima khakayo re senda pe halene tini te yaka sarun roji ba khaina gangkha thangdun roji ba khaina samne pe hale no te te tini ngarang yang labdu tela yaka nima rengdun re tini gangkha nima thongdun re sete yaka nima rengdun gangkha nima thongdun kan chin rogi ware se te pe hale panda potinde jagdo ga te hale ga 된다고 그런도 많이나 되지 제시는 가란스 약간 니마 레인든로 ganka 니마 통든로 가 할리야 요 말에 되나 닝가랑 그 냠뇨로면은 할레 반다고 있던데 용도가 야 제시 양아 벨런도 디텔라테네 말레이시아라 약간 니마 레인든로야 요 말에 ganka 니마 통든로야 요 말에 야카 차와체른도야 요 말에 지당가 바투발라 차와체른도야 요 말에 지다 주니라 당든도야 요 말에 있다 간데 근데 가봐요 또 그래 탕구 림포치 다가 짝진시야 그다 자니 용거 말 근데 가봐요 또 그래 삼바도 근데 제기도
So, for like description of what Deochen is like, because somebody asked the other day, what is Deochen like? So Rinpoche is going to then describe what it is. So when one hears that, one may feel a little doubtful about it, or kind of disbelief, and that's only natural because talking about a place that we've never been to, so we have no experience of what the place is like. So when we hear about it, we may think that this is kind of very unlikely. But it's like, for example, she'd been to Malaysia, and then talking to someone who knew nothing about geography, never traveled, didn't know anything. You'd say, it's in Malaysia. There's no summer, there's no winter. It's the same all the time. And maybe in the June, July, maybe it gets a bit warmer. December, maybe a little bit cooler. But it's a tropical country, so it just stays the same all the time. There's no summer, winter, autumn. So saying that to someone who doesn't know anything about it, they just say, "What? That's no summer, no winter. That's just like not possible." And then then the same the way around, that saying to someone, well, in the other countries, that in the summer, the days get longer, and in the winter, the days get shorter. And so the person will say, "What? You have it's the same sun, is it? I mean, and is it the same sun that this is the winter and the summer? There's no winter, same time. It's the same heat. So if it's the same sun, the same, how can it be, that it doesn't get colder or hotter? How can the day get longer and shorter?" So very people get very surprised. And then when Rinpoche went to Tibet, and he went to Tibet, and he was telling people, in Malaysia it's the same all year round. In Malaysia there's no change at all. In the sun, the day never gets longer, the night never gets shorter. They always stay exactly the same, and the weather stays exactly the same. There's no getting warmer in the summer, getting colder in the winter. And people in Tibet were just saying, Thrangu Rinpoche is just, making up stories. He's telling lies. It's not true. How could that be? It's ridiculous. So, in a way, for us, may not be as surprising to us that the days grow longer, and then days grow shorter. To us, they seem quite ordinary, but for somebody who's never heard about it and never been there, this sounds, like ludicrous, that the day gets longer and the day gets shorter. So it's like that. If one hasn't been to a place, one may be very surprised to hear what it's like, or feel very doubtful whether it's really true.
Tene ta tanda dewajin la ya ta te tabu re la tene dewajin je henge yenten te tene pe deji dan tempa ta dunghal dan chalwa jege pe deji dan tempa song yo re la tene kasin shuba yendo je tanda tang ranso tene Maine ne dang da bo je yena tene America pe jibu pe yabu yarji 첨부 안그 당번하고 tene ngaranso lumba yendo ge ja ta je 아메리카 컴바 칸데 요아 ngaranso tenda voji go kre sambato 아메리카 tuluk 칸데 kange ngaranso ya tende go 아메리카 me 칸데 지니게 요 nganso tende 지니고 아메리카 me 칸데 진두고 요 nganso tende 지데 go sambato tende jege 요 라 레테 이나야 당ngaranso 메인 지tin 인디텔라 되니 제 데 네당다고 띠바한다고 제라 되니 대화진데 코란테 제 단 지tin 현도 다바도 마다베 제버리에 베인 비치나 되니 제 데이터부 ngaranso 메인 넘버라고 많이 봐 랑hin기 히와 돌와 되니 제 정보 약보라고 랑hin지 야바 칼레시도 잡마고 반다고 된데라 데지던 템파지 인사레.
So Dewa Chen is a place which is just a place of happiness, so a place without any suffering or difficulties, and so it's like, we're saying that in America life is very pleasant, very happy, and it's it's very well developed, highly developed country. So like everywhere else in the world, they want to be like America. So they say, what kind of houses do you have in America? We want that kind of house. What kind of clothes do people wear in America? That's the kind of clothes I'd like to wear. How do people make their living? How do people live? That's the way we would like to be. That's how people in the rest of the world look at America. And so with that, one looks at in that way as Dewa Chen, that Dewa Chen is like a pure realm. So there's this contrast between pure realms and impure realms. So in the pure realm of Dewa Chen, that there and like in this human world, that everything is very naturally peaceful, very peaceful, calm, tranquil, controlled. So it's a very pleasant, peaceful place. So people don't have to undergo any hardships or difficulties.
Tene 다 텔라야 조 가리레세나 당가란솔라 간데 지보세나야 조 tene jewa gawa nawa hiwa yete yinji menji 당가란소 메루디나 요레라 tene tela tene 간데 방주르지 간데 야보세나야 tene 디둥할때 데세 메바지 용기요 말라 데 살와기 쳇돌라 깔리마 보자고 요레 라 tene 대화진라 당보니 코라 제어게 둥할 메바 가외게 둥할 메바 나외게 둥할 메바 루부 코랑 내당한다보데 카카리 있는데 tene hiweke dungal mepa indi te ranging hachang pe zoga pa tene tende mena ya ranging deki don temba hiro yung yo eso.
Then so in the human world, if one is a human, then that means we have to undergo birth and sickness and aging and death. That's the kind of human condition, that we have to undergo those things. And also that in order to gain prosperity or wealth, that one has to work hard to be able to obtain it. And in Dewa Chen, that just naturally, that right from the beginning, that there is no birth, and then there is also no sickness and no aging, and because of the nature of the existence, of physical existence in that realm, that there is no death, and there's nothing that has to be like created or made, that in Dewa Chen things are just naturally present.
Tene ta teya kamdana la dewa jinje tando inone suma tarde sedu de la tombo sayente. Tene salaya pe devo jombo tene ta ngaran sonda boje zombileng netang da boje yenaya yina tene de la kapkala tene lomka zokuba. tene lamga tenzo la tsikpa jab goba, tene kashi la tsikpa jab goba, kashi la sak go goba, tene kashi la samba tsuk goba, ta tende ke sa ma dewa, ta ngaran so rang hingi yuwa la, ta tel kali jab ne zo, tende se go yuwa la, tene te yapo che zo sa na yang, tene chapa pap, tene nang hi dupo ten kaukala hei, kaukala lo, ta tende ramanda yungu yuwa la, tene tanda dewa jinde rangi ke kora kalpa sangpa yinpe cherna, tene sahi tenzo nyambo, tende kanya zomo gopa, rangi ke dewa yapa, je sahi ki yente. Tene te jesu la hengi yente hi yuwa la, tene hente yang, ta je ngaranzo ke hengi na, kahi la do yapa, kahi la nyenka yapa, ta tende ramanda napa yapa, ndabu tende yungu yuwa re, kahi tene pe naksang tubo nyenka yapa ndabu. Tende mayinpa kanga korang rangingi debo, yabo, mela pen tangkin, jibo, shato, rangingi jingwa, ta tende tang, tende ndabu te tang. Tende degendo le chu yen ten na yang, tende chu tenzo yang, jay perna, ngaranzo ndabu jay na, chu tsokpa ndabu tang, chu la nyenka yapa ndabu tang, kapka la chu chenpo chane kanga kek dongkin ndabu tang, tende kapka la chu chung chung chaba mabab ne yang kam dongkin ndabu tende mayinpa ranghin ke korang takpa debo yapa ranghin ke sonong ke topki tende yungwa ke tende ndabu chiki yantin tante pa song yore.
So it's described in the Amitabha Sutra, the qualities of the ground in Sukhavati, in Dewa Chen, that the ground is very soft and comfortable. So unlike in this world, you have to make roads, and to make roads, and you have to like build walls. So you have to dig out a road or build a bridge. So you have to go through a lot of difficulties to create a road, and then it might rain, and might be bad weather. You can have like landslides and floods, and so you have all these difficulties. But in Dewa Chen, you don't have that at all, because the ground is just naturally soft and comfortable, and there's no need to make any roads. And and then also there's the description of the nature of the qualities of the trees there. So here trees can be like poisonous, or you can have trees that are dangerous, or like thick forests in which it's dangerous to go. But in Dewa Chen, the trees are all very pleasant and beneficial, and so that's the nature of the trees in Dewa Chen. And then there's the water. So here you have the water, and sometimes you have polluted water, dangerous waters, and sometimes the rivers get very big and destructive, or sometimes they start drying up because the rain hasn't fallen and they just dry up altogether. But in Dewa Chen, the waters are not like that. So in Dewa Chen, the waters are very pleasant and beneficial.
Tene ta te tardo nguso zu yapa tende ke pe yapo tende maina yo rangin chi kora kangal mepa devo jipo tene perna ngaran sa dabu chi ina nam hi ina ya kapkala tene hajang sa dakwa dabu da kapkala hajang tang dakwa dabu tene cha kala chawa jobzi je go de person dabu je tang kala tangwa jobzi je go de person dabu tende main pa kora rangin ke tene chara nyamba da ke misal ke kanya mazu na ya rangin ke devo da jipo yoba.
And so, like through the power of like merit, there things are like this. Like nothing has to be done, nothing has to be created or fabricated. Just naturally, everything is pleasant. And like the weather, like here, the weather sometimes it gets too hot and sometimes it gets too cold. So when it's too hot, you have to do something to stop yourself from getting too hot, and when it's too cold, you have to do something to stop yourself from getting too cold. But then in Dewa Chen, you don't need to do that because the temperature is always just right. And so without having to do anything, and you don't have to do anything because it's always just pleasant, the temperature.
Tene ta te yendo la tanda ta te cheneji Kapandabujela, Kogiorella, Nanti Sentin Tabuji in ya, Teniche Mela, Tene Nawandabuta, Tene Shoandabuta, Tene Dejandola, Giabandabuta, Tene Dejandola, Tatanda Conticupa in the Jega, Nanchi, Dungal Mepa. Tene ulwige dungal mepa, tene tripike dungal ta, ulwige dungal ndabo tende ta, tene chegi chela ta te tab mepa pe, tene dechi dan tempa chay ta, tene dechi dan tempa chomda yung mazi, tene chegi chela ngaranzo mei ne ndabo chay na, chegi chela hedang iya pa, chegi chela ngajal iya pa, chegi chela thakdo iya pa, ndabo mayin pa, Kanga tene chanchup ki sandan tenpa, kanga nije dan tenpa, kanga ranghin ki hika yapo yopa, tene chegi chela chay nepa sepa rabo tan, chegi chela hedan sepa tan, chegi chela ten chisup nawa la sup topan rabo kanya magupa, ranghin ki njambo.
So that's what the world, the environment in Dewa Chen is like. And then as for the beings within it, and the beings there they don't have to experience suffering of birth, they don't have to experience suffering of illness, they don't have to experience suffering of aging, they don't have to experience the suffering of death. So there's no birth, sickness, aging or death there in Dewa Chen. And so people don't suffer from like poverty, don't suffer from hunger, and so everything is just naturally pleasant. So there are no difficulties or hardships, and also and like in the human realm, where people in their relation to each other have anger or have jealousy and so on, or pride. That in Dewa Chen, everyone has the bodhicitta, and so everyone has compassion, and so no one wishes to harm someone else, no one says unpleasant words to anyone else, no one gets angry with anyone else. So, so instead everyone lives very happily in Dewa Chen.
Tene ta tegendala ken tige ta tanda zo da de la suyo re se na sanje wa pa me yu ye pa da je ta sanje wa pa me de ya tene pe ko se jen rimbo la yu ni yen rimbo la tam bi chu chung ko lo gor tene tanda kasen hu pa yendala ngaran so tanda susujiwa yimbala tene dewa jindu ji ne je papandabu rindu kiribe na rindu yo mare te yinaya ta te dewa jin la tambi chudubu tenjin ta tene rangyin ki nyemon pa chungwa ta rangyin ki tene pe samba zangwa la tene ngaran so tambi chugi nyamne si tupa 대전들라 양갑칼라 제 생긴게 대두르게 쳤들라 되네 마라베 현들라 로섬나야 되네 소수게 양 엔된다고 조운데 되네 마라베 현들 로네 생긴게 대두 토파 생긴라 드바트네 생긴게 대두 토발라서 고네 되네 나라서 다르트 데부터 발라야 강할 때좀 해봐라.
And the main being in Dewa Chen is Amitabha, and Amitabha is there continually turning the wheel of the Dharma for a long time. And so as for the beings who are reborn there, then you're an ordinary being and then you are reborn there. But when you are reborn there, doesn't mean that you then become an Arya, it doesn't mean you become an enlightened being. But when you are reborn there, then you are naturally able to practice the Dharma, and naturally the defilements are much smaller, and naturally you have good motivation, and so have little difficulties in practicing the Dharma. And then also one is able to benefit other beings. If one wishes to benefit beings in an impure realm, then one can go there and benefit others. One can emanate into impure worlds to benefit others.
Tene ta tena la yupa tenzo je janju sempa chimpo xiaoto, tene janju sempa xiaoto, je ki je la nense mepa, tene ta te la tampi chu la nyam nense ki xiaoto, sonwa yindu, tene ngarang ki jang te tardo tinting rabo kanga tsangwa, perna ngarang so Harvard University rabo je ina, tenan ro na tene ge gengi tinting zamba, tene ge kanga yabu yoba, kanga tinting zam bense kanga yabu yoba, tene ko kefa chimbo chakre la, pe te yendo la ta dewa jen la yang kora, ngune tambi chu yang taba nyamsu lembe kan tinting kanga zamba yinpe che la, tene tinting zamba ta, tene zamba zambo ta senjin la pen daba ke, gomong rabo te rangin ki jewa, tene insa re.
And so in Dewa Chen there are just these great bodhisattvas, and there's no one wishes to harm another, and all the beings who are there have a good motivation, and so all the favorable circumstances for practicing the Dharma. And so it's like going to Harvard University, where they have all the very good teachers, and all very good students, and a very good library. So you have all the conditions you need to study well. So in the same way that in Dewa Chen you have all the conditions and circumstances you need to be able to practice the Dharma well, all the great bodhisattvas and the Dharma, and just naturally good motivation, and naturally being able to practice the Dharma well.
Tene ta teacher na ngaranso dewa jinti ji menam je ju kal chembore karire se na ngaranso je ta khahi kap kala chaja chembo ta zopa chimbu ki nyamne se kintende yorela tin chaja chembo ta zopa chimbu nyamne se ju te ape yabu hirorela di hyola yang kap kala dewa jinti ji menam jabna tin tela nyen khanda bo khaya yo marela dewa jinti ji menam te hyarda hyorla ja dewa jinti ji ju je 샤다 효라 드나야 베 에히라 보여레라 데 대견들라 양 알아서 담비 베 냠네 자침보시 고가 매바 다 레가망보 유행키 더버 다 딘데 용기 와레라 된소 있나야 드네 하장 그 전주 침보시 마답나야 데 대화진도 지위 주제데 샤다 효라 세나 데라 테네 나라마 온팔라베 테네 펜토 침보 tene jerdo ngesong 동안 nyongma goba tene korwe 동안 nyongma goba tene tetabo ga be kokap sangbondago tene hyardang hyorla dup dewa tene yongge yorala ya te yendo tanda ngaranso ga dewa jindu jiwi juye dupni tene kasin hyuba yendo jay dewa jindu jiwi juye de yangni yangdo song tupna 데 싱아란소 지와단 지와라소 바타 틴데 중 갑라야 데네 데라 제데지 댕다고요 바 앙아타 데지다 데라 성동사지 요 삼바다고 베 야부시도 대양 강알시도 매바 디처나 대화진도 지 조이야 대화진지 흰컴데 하장급에 동화 사보 또 까와 틴데 말이데 있나야 레라와 펜토 지와 틴데 용기요
So therefore it's very good to be able to recite the Dewa Chen prayer. And there are people who practice the Mahamudra, people who practice Dzogchen. So it's very good to do these practices. And in addition, one can also do the Mahamudra, the prayer for rebirth in Dewa Chen. So that's not going to cause any harm to do that in addition. So one can, along with one's practice of Mahamudra, along with one's practice of Dzogchen, one can also on the side be doing prayer to Dewa Chen and cultivating the causes for rebirth there. And then some people are very busy, they have a lot of work, and so do not have much opportunity to practice. So if they don't have the opportunity or the application to do a great deal of practice, then along with just whatever they're doing, you can cultivate these four causes for rebirth in Dewa Chen. So there's something that is very simple. It's something that's very simple to do. So one can do that along with whatever else one is doing. So it's not a kind of very profound and subtle teaching, but it's very simple, straightforward, and easy to do. And so it's good to be able to do that along with whatever one is doing, and also through this practice of doing the prayer for rebirth in Dewa Chen, one will gain confidence in terms of like death and dying, and so that this will not cause one any anxiety because of one's application and habituation to the prayer and the causes for rebirth in Dewa Chen. So therefore it's something that's very good to do on a regular basis.
Tene sanji jom tin deji jom de tar do jetang ge sapata jachewa do do ma chu ma bo song yo la song yo na ya di hor do de dewa jin ji manam ta dewa jin ji hin ge da wa ba me jin do la so ba song la tin de kong so so la su su kal ba tan ba pen to gre gon ne song la tin ngaran so de tar do nyam ni je na pe pen to jin bu yong gre.
So the Buddha in the sutras and the tantras, he gave many vast and profound teachings. Then also within amongst those teachings, he gave the teachings of of Amitabha and on Dewa Chen. So considering that these teachings would be beneficial for those certain beings who are capable of practicing that, he gave these teachings, and so they are something that is very good, beneficial to practice.
Tene ta tela tari ngarang dewa jin de ji ju ye ji pa de be kalpa sang pu chung sung sam pa da de che na ba la pen to gre sam pa da ka re se na ta kha he ge be ya pu ri ta de nyam lin si gu ri sam ne nyam lin se na ya de be ya pu yung gre la de ma pa la dewa jin de ji to ba yi ta ba kalpa sang pu shi da yung di wa la yang kha he ge de se de te sam da bu ji se gre te sam da bu ji na yung kha yo ma re la te sam da bu ji na ya de la che par shi da yo ma re dewa jin da sang ji wa ba me jin sen tu de la de ne sen de na pa cha sang bu yo de se tu be ya bu yung gre de ya pen to gre sam ba da 카히라 아다 대화진 때도 자 자인 다가 사인지 말에 선반다고 som나야 이나 인지 민지 어범에 진도다 어범에 센다 다 대화진 센때서 tö송이 있잖아 마음발을 간데 지나야 펜토 그래 선반다고.
So Rinpoche is very glad that been able to give these teachings on the four causes for rebirth in Dewa Chen, and so it's very fortunate we've been able to give these teachings here, and he thinks it's something that can be very beneficial for people. There are those who, on hearing the teachings, will then practice. I think this is very good, and will practice the prayer for rebirth in Dewa Chen, and so through doing that, then they will gain the good fortune of being reborn in Dewa Chen. So that's very, very fortunate. And then some people, on hearing these teachings, will feel a little doubtful about them, but that's only natural. It's not that one can't be criticized for feeling doubtful about this, but even so, they will have heard the name of Amitabha and Dewa Chen, and this will have created a latency within you. So in the future that will be beneficial. And then, of course, some people may think, no, yes, they're teaching on Dewa Chen that there is really no such place. This is just not true, and so won't believe in it. But also for them, still hearing this teaching will have been very beneficial, because they will have heard the name of the Amitabha Sutra, the Dewa Chen Sutra, and so on, and this will have left within them a seed and a latency which will be of great benefit for them in the future. So being able to give this teaching is something very good and very fortunate, and Rinpoche is very glad to have had the opportunity to be able to do that.
Tene tatrin togo desam jege la tene chitang ge chenamba kashi kachinamba kangak pe kali mambu jalni pe tene kashi pe tha rinpo ne ne chu kona sam ne yenda tenda kanya me pa chu je ni chu je nyamling se sam ne pe yongwa te ya pe hirai rosung chenpo kali mambu jalni pe yongwa te zolai pe tuji chi shuk yan la tene de yendal yang kashi tha nyebo le yo re de tha nyebo le yo na ya leka mambu ngarang ra ta leka yakbo leka chenpo tenzo neka lu tang ne ta ngarang ke tangpi chue la tepa che tangpi chue la mugu che teni leka tenzo kal chun chun se chue nyamne se ya pe kal chenpo se tende se pepa te ya pe kanga tuji che namba kanga ta rinpo ne yung king tam che ta tung tung ne yung king tam che kanga la kanga tuji che
And so Rinpoche says that'll be, conclude. It's a talk for this afternoon, and he'd like to say, thank you for people who have come here. Some people have had great difficulties to come here, and they had to come from very far away, and so it's been very hard to come. But thinking like only of the Dharma, and gone back through its difficulties, and come from the places that are very far away to come here to receive the teachings, thinking that it's very important to receive these teachings. And so she wants to say thank you to all those people who've had to come from great distances and to come here. And also those who live nearby. You may live very near, but then you also have like your work and your jobs, and sometimes those jobs are very important, and but still that you've kind of had to maybe abandon your important tasks and work, and be thinking that what's really important is the Dharma, and people to come and receive these Dharma teachings. And so this work I'm doing is not so important, and someone's had to abandon various things that one should be doing and has come here to receive these teachings. So Rinpoche also wants to say thank you to all those from nearby who have come here to receive these teachings. So Rinpoche wants to thank everyone, all those from far away and all those from nearby who have come here and to take this course, this retreat. So thank you to you all.
Tene ta tejandala tene kodik trading Tadi thinking so teni pe chargi ya tadi che kale ja teni tenzo ke tanto kale mambo ja tende sepala teni pe tadi ya pu sepa tadi ya pu sine tadi ya pu chuma teni kankala tuji che shogiyan la teni teya chetan chetan pe tadi la tese kale yore kari se na lama yenda ina lo takwa tusi titena pegre tena pegre zame tadi si chogi yore la teni ngara tusi te tende zotu yo mare kakala tese ngasi yungu yore kakala tusi sesi yungu yore teni kakala teni tusi te mata pa yin rimbo to ne teni lobor tu tusi te titena nga yungu yin se go pa tende rabo yungu yore tenzo la kali mambo yungu yore tena yin che nambe ke pe tadi yabu sepa tuji che.
And then also, thank you to those who have planned and organized this retreat. So I have to go, do all the work, planning and organizing, so that it will run well, and it has been organized well, and it's all been run very well. So I want to thank all the people who have done that, because also it's a hard job to do this, and it's difficult to do this because unlike other lamas who say, well, I'll come every year at this particular time, that Thrangu Rinpoche will come 1 year, will come a bit earlier, another time will come later, and so now can't give what time, can't say what time he's going to come, and then suddenly we'll say, well, I can come at this time, and so on. So it's very difficult for those who are arranging this. It's very difficult to arrange a course given by Thrangu Rinpoche. So he really wants to thank all those who have gone through the difficulties of organizing and planning this.
Tene ta tanda chenamba pe ngarang ke khya la tanda pe tuji chi khyu jure la te yendo la susu rang susu nes pene ya ta jitang ka yo mare ngarang so le kha che gore tene che gore te yina ya tambe chue de maji ba je ka du yina ya tene te kapkala dewa jing malam rabo tende sauna ya pento chempo yung gore la dewa jing sondem rabo tende sauna ya be yapo yaba jay ta tene te yendo la tanda tene tujendo dewa jing de ji jo yen rabo ta tene songha ke nyamnin tenzi na na be yapo yore la tene te kapkala kambe ke kapta tene tusi holiday rabo ye be kap tende la nyamnin yapo naro ji hyo ye.
And so Rinpoche, thank everyone for being here, and but it's glad that you're here. But then you have to then go back to your homes, and so you have work and things that you have to do, and but if you want, while doing these things, what's important is this is something that you have to do, all this work. But she asks that you don't forget the Dharma while doing other things, and also that if one can do this practice of Dewa Chen, if one can have the prayer for rebirth in Dewa Chen and to be able to recite that is very good. And to cultivate these 4 causes for rebirth in Dewa Chen, so this will be very beneficial. It's beneficial for one's practice, sutras and the mantrayana, and then at times when you are free, when you have a break or when you have holidays, she asks that you use this time to practice well.
Tene te yendo ta tanda njupla ngarange dewa jing manam dubati je ndangi hinsams dewa jing manam dubati tanda dema yichuga na ando.
So end with the recitation of the short prayer for rebirth in Dewa Chen, which is on page Shipshu 40. She'll recite this 3 times.
Oye ma oye ngonzara sanje na taye da yeso jo tuje jembo da yendo sembo tuje do no la sanje jansa ba me gorje Deji Monsara Bada Me Baye Dewa Jingi Jin Kamdir Dan Dene Zimbu Jurmada Dewa Jingi Parama Chukaru Dero Jine Non De Kando Yo De Gidak Malam da band Joju Sanje Jansen Dom Jeje Gemin Rubra Jinje Labduso Deata Benzande Awam Bodanai Yendo Semba Dojendo Nola Sanje Jansen Bamin Korje Deji Monsra Bada Me Baye Dewa Jingi Jar Shin Kamdir Danen Dene Sembu Jurmada Jewa Jingi Parama Shepar Jine Nonde Yandon Yo Dege Dage Malam Da Band Joju Sanje Jansam Tamje Je Game Drobara Jinje Laptusa Deyada Benzande Awam Bodhanai Sovai Mavoy Monzra Sanje Nawatayeda Yesu Yando Semba Tujendo Nala Sanje Jan Semba Me Korjiko Deje Monsra Bada Me Baye Dewa Shinje Jame King Konter Danen Dene Semba Jurmata Dewa Shinje Barma Derujene mande kyaldo yo dege dage manda bande choju sanje jansen tamje je gemendro parajinje latuso deyada benzande awam bodhana yeso. Sanje zege una juba dedara jege na mal badam je jawa da ge gong deda ma ba me ze janzo na yongje yen la janzo da ge jalwa gunje yen de rab je je devara hi badam je da ge me do tamba jinwa tamba do senye nam da juba do jo marme jo don dubu tamba yi jalwa de da la ne je ba aza tamba nam do den jo don seme parmar rab nyamba kebe je para baba jo genje jalwa de da la yon je para je ba gona la me ja je wa de da jalwa tam je la yon Zambo jala debe doda ge jalwa gan la jansala jebara deja ge dan demu wange na ludan ngada de ye ge deba da ge jeba jenje ba de da tam je da ge sosor Suju jalwa ganda sanje se ranjala namda loda malo Rowa ganje sena gongla yon deda ganje jizo daye Pono suju jiden deme da sanje rambara sanje majan Gambo deda dage tamje lan kholo lana me ba gorwa Nyangen dada gongye deda lan rowa ganla be Kalba hinge dulni yubara yon dage tanmo rabjara surwaraj Chansara wadon cheche kyaba dan jiza yeron gulgen surwaraj dage jisa ba tamje zobe jonju jembo Benzara sado sa maya mana ba laya benzara sado de no ba de do me sudu gaya me bawa sube jaya me bawa naro do me sarva siddhimeta yidza sarva karma sudha me zayda kireya guru homa bhagavin sarva dada zambenzara ma me munzambenzara bhava ma sam asado benzara bha me ha ye nambra daba wanjin sirke sa ye benzara rege a wanjin jare guyu usari jalbor wanjora yara nimba bolo zamba no balon je jan dame nyen le don le ba ngaya don ngaya yo den don lom jon ro dame nyen dame nyen ge dar bo je ro pasam je khen den jo ba ma ba ye lo don ko lor bo je nor bor bo je zmor bo je lam bor bo je lom bor bo je dan jor bo ma ben bo je dere jem bo ye bombay ge ba ma dwa ma lo ma garam me do ma du ma no zal ma de ja ma nye ma da war bo je chole nambra jave jaran ze uzo la da me ye banjoro basam zo ba ma zanwa ram jam jan ze dur je dan len de ba ngambra ge ba de ni palden kolo kombo palden lama tamba garman lo de na ve singen jo ke be gal jara den je sab je chuge kolo tabra jundo gorve le do bora je wo du je do de den do je zo zo shin je lo do zo je balde lama la Monzara zembe no niente Gaba janzo rati Ede genze no wada dumba juro je wanjo balde alama lani zo de bandemba kanzo yangai nujo dinje de sabje damche chaje ambai goi je sonye lande lama lanje ve jugu dinjo demba kanzo londai dinje sonjo beze be da zo tola Somme doje nade danya so jinye jugo tebe doma amde de boy me be je boy do gange tembe sawa de do den denge denga sarba le do ve sona tege go ga do sebe ga de yore ne juro je de me jembe bem avje be je jen je de zo en bu do je ba me ne be.
Okay. I would just like to say, for all of us, directly, thank you very, very much for coming to Maine and teaching. Last night we saw some pictures of Vajravidya, which is beautiful, it's magnificent. And I've seen Namo Buddha, which is going to be even larger, it looks like. These are vast projects. Training the nuns to be Kempos, working to train so that they'll be the Kagyu lineage will keep going strong. any of these projects could be for just one person. One man could spend a lifetime on these. And teaching the Karmapa, lots of vast activity, and yet Rinpoche comes here to a small town in Maine, teaches us, asks for people's names in a book, answers little questions. I think what Jane said describes it well is capacity. And so we're very thankful for your great capacity. And lastly, and I've said this before, I'm going to keep saying it, Rinpoche teaches very clearly. The Dharma can be complex, sometimes really hard to understand, but when he teaches it, we understand it. And I see a lot of his students starting to get clear about the Dharma. So thank you for your clarity. And please come again. On behalf of all of us, please come back to Maine and teach us again. Thank you very much. And this is from all of us, Rinpoche. Where's Rinpoche? No, basket's right after. That's okay. Just follow Peter. You've got Rinpoche's basket. Sorry, a little confusing. And next, Peter, you're hard to get here. Yes, yes. Peter is hard to get, but he's worth the trouble. I'd like to thank him for his lightheartedness and his clear translation, and also he brings a vast knowledge of the Dharma. He's studied scholastically for a long time, and all of that is very helpful. So thank you, Peter, for coming.
My pleasure. This is for Eric. I'll make sure it gets to him.
Thank you.
We're very frugal in Maine, and we recycle everything.
Thank you very much, Peter. And Lobsang and Karma, thank you very much for helping Rinpoche while he was here, and also helping us, and also for your example. We watch you, so thank you very, very much for. Ani Eshe isn't here. But we can thank Ani Eshe. She wasn't here as much, but she was great when she was leading, and we hope she'll come back, and we wish her very speedy health. And we'll bring her basket up to her. Okay. And I'd like to thank people who helped put this on. People have commented, and also Rinpoche commented, that it's been going very smoothly. Well, the way cause and effect works, that doesn't just happen by itself. And behind the scenes, doing thousands of little details is Jane Lawless, and we'd like to thank her very, very much. Please stand up. And also for many facets of work, answering tons of email, registering, cooking, and helping with the treat, Sheila Denny Brown. Please stand up. Please. And for registration and lots of different help during the retreat, Phil Fry, please stand up. Tracy and Steve Gilbert, please stand up right now, for helping run the retreat and doing lots of work from the Portland Vajravidya. For cooking for Rinpoche, Deborah Ann, is she here? Ah, in the back, there she is. Thank you very much, Deborah Ann. For housekeeping and also for her house, even though she's selling it, she kept it so that we could use it. Barbara Sinclair, please stand up. John Kimball and Bill Klein for safely driving Rinpoche. Please stand up. Sound, he's done it year after year, quietly, without a lot of fanfare. Peter Comas, please stand up. Video, lots of work. Pat, please stand up. Pat Lee from Hartford. And these tapes will be available, the videotapes. Jane Robinson for the Dewa Chen Like Flowers, where she, thank you very much, Jane, for many years. And all the other people who helped readily, and also all of the people who came to this retreat. The atmosphere has been excellent. So thank you very, very much.
How about for Bill Wallace?
Thank you.
ye zeme